Hi guys, and welcome to Suffer the Little Children, the true crime podcast giving voices back to the victims of child abuse and shining a harsh spotlight on the parents, guardians, and caretakers who silence them. I'm your host, Laine, and this is episode 20, Treyanna Summerville. In the early morning hours of Monday, June 22, 2020, a 911 call summoned police to 135 Rowley Street in Gouverneur, New York, where 38-year-old Lashanna Charlton lived with her two daughters, aged 18 and 13. When police arrived, they found 18-year-old Treyanna Summerville dead. According to family members, neighbors, and classmates, Trayana had endured years of manipulation, controlling behavior, and physical and emotional abuse at the hands of her mother, Lashanna. By the end of the day on June 22nd, one suspect was in custody, but it wasn't Treyanna's mother. It was her 13-year-old sister. This is the baffling, ongoing story of Treyanna Summerville. My sources for today's episode were 7 News, North Country Now News, NNY 360, North Country Public Radio, the Gouverneur Tribune Press, Justice for Treyanna Summerville RIP Facebook group, and Facebook. Now I'm going to focus on giving Treyanna Summerville's story the attention it and she deserves. Let's do a little math problem. 16 police visits to the home in the past 7 years, plus 25 police reports on various members of the family, plus various allegations of child abuse and neglect, plus a 13-year-old charged with the murder of her 18-year-old half-sister equals a story that simply doesn't add up. A recent tragedy in Gouverneur, New York has the community reeling. At 2:53 a.m. on Monday, June 22nd, a 911 call summoned Gouverneur police to 135 Rowley Street, where 38-year-old Lashanna Charlton lived with her husband, 45-year-old Rodney Charlton, and her two girls, 18-year-old Trayana and 13-year-old Rihanna. I'm only naming Rihanna, who is a minor, because her name has been shared in multiple social media posts demanding justice for both her and Trayana. A news reporter on the scene reported a heavy police presence at the scene, including a New York State Police Forensic Investigation Unit, a drone, and authorities in white hazmat suits. Police would not comment initially on whether or not the situation was a criminal investigation. At around 5 p.m., it appeared that police were focusing on a dark-colored Chevrolet vehicle with New York State license plates that was parked inside a garage adjacent to the home. The following day, on Tuesday, June 23rd, New York State Police announced in a morning press release that they were investigating the murder of 18-year-old Treyanna Summerville, who was a Gouverneur High School senior only 4 days away from graduation. They also announced that they had charged a 13-year-old victim with second-degree murder in the case. Rihanna's arrest took place at the police station at 1005 State Highway 11. Rihanna was arraigned in St. Lawrence County Court's Youth Part before Judge Morris. She is being held in a facility controlled by the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. As I mentioned, Gouverneur police had responded multiple times to Lashanna Charlton's residence over the past several years for a variety of reasons. According to Village Police Chief Lorena Greenhill, the first of those visits was in response to a child abuse neglect complaint on March 28, 2013. Besides child abuse and neglect, which were the reasons for other visits, some of the other reasons included welfare checks, domestic abuse, a juvenile runaway, disorderly conduct, and criminal mischief. Trayana herself called the police on January 4, 2020 to report a missing juvenile, who I assume was her younger sister. Shortly after Rihanna's arrest, a friend posted on Facebook a photo of the young girl, along with the caption, "Rihanna, I'm so sorry for everything that happened. I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry you went to prison for nothing. It was your mother who did this." That would not be the first time, nor the last, that someone from the community would express their disagreement with the arrest that was made in Treyanna's death. In a statement, St. Lawrence County District Attorney Gary M. Pasqua said, "This investigation is not done. The state police continue to work on the investigation. There will be many more people interviewed regarding the entire situation revolving around this victim." In that vein, he added, "If you have any information or tips for law enforcement, please call your local police agency or the state police to report relevant information, anonymously or otherwise, so the appropriate action may be taken." Treyanna's autopsy was conducted on Tuesday, June 23rd, but her cause and manner of death have not yet been released. The Gouverneur community has been abuzz since the news broke of Treyanna's death, and a vigil even took place for her at Gouverneur Village Park on the evening of Monday, June 22nd, even before her name was officially released, pending notification of her father, Cedric Summerville, in Seattle. Attendees at the vigil surrounded the gazebo in the park, sang Amazing Grace, and spoke of a life they said was full of tragedy and abuse, describing Trayana as a physically abused young woman who was more like a mother to her younger sister. The vigil lasted about an hour, during which community members made tearful prayers and condemned the system they said had failed Treyanna Summerville. Attendees wrote messages for Trayana on slips of paper to place into an angel jar, which would be placed on her seat at the Class of 2020 graduation ceremony at the end of the week. Gouverneur resident Kayla D'Agostino helped organize the vigil. In fact, she has really taken the Justice for Trey movement by the horns, and she deserves a lot of credit for that. Kayla worked at a local supermarket called Price Chopper, where she saw Trayana weekly, often accompanied by Rihanna, although she did not know the girls' names until she found out about Treyanna's death. Kayla told NNY 360 it was obvious that Trayana was burdened with most of the responsibility in her family. She walked about a half-mile to Price Chopper every week, even when there was 25 inches of snow on the ground or a day hot like today. Kayla added, she was determined to get those groceries home. Kayla also said, I didn't know her name until this morning. I'd leave work and I'd ask her if she wanted to ride back with all those groceries. With the most sweetness a child could have, she'd say, no thank you, and turn and go on her way. Kayla spoke with other community members who confirmed that others had offered to help the family before Treyanna's death. Kayla said, there were signs that this girl was in distress and many people reached out to try to get her help. She didn't have a chance to be a child. That child was in that house playing the parent, and it's devastating how many people I've heard from that called and tried to get this child help, and to hear that with every call, nothing was done. I hope to God something like this never happens to any of our children in this community ever again. This should not have happened. Stacy Service, a home health aide in Gouverneur with family who lives next door to Treyanna's home, said she saw the young girl, who she did not know personally, at the laundromat 3 weeks prior to her death. Along with a friend, Stacy noticed Treyanna sleeping with cuts on her face and blood on her shirt. When they woke her to ask if she needed help, Treyanna told them she was okay. Stacy said, you could tell she was scared of what was going to happen now that I'd seen her like that. Concerned, Stacy called the police, and when Officer Jason Witten responded shortly afterward, he entered the laundromat to speak with Treyanna. When he exited the laundromat, he informed Stacy that the girl was known for walking around town and digging at the scars on her face to make them bleed. Stacy said, I explained to him that's not just a little scratch. Her face looks tortured. The pictures you see online and on Facebook, that wasn't her face when I saw it. She had no hair on her head. It was shaved looking. You know how hot it is, and she's wearing winter hats to cover her, with hoods up and arms covered. Many on social media have suggested that Officer Jason Witten's alleged racism was the impetus for his willingness to dismiss the incident out of hand. It has been suggested also that both Trayana and Rihanna's social media accounts were strictly controlled by their mother. It appears that whenever Lashanna had an issue with one of the girls, she was quick to make manipulative posts on Facebook. On November 14, 2017, Lashanna posted on Trayana's wall, saying, Trey, you chill out enough? Getting mad doesn't stop consequences, man. You gotta earn trust. Ask your friends. Come home. You show and prove. You act like this? Not the way, sis. Ree had your jacket when you left. That was her bringing it. She's crying. Please come on. Stop this. Nobody is hurting you. Words will be used, but respect? That's automatic. We miss you, peanut head. Ask your friends. That's a peanut. Other posts include two made on July 30th, 2019. The first reads, 2019 math. It's summer, plus whole town knows you crave ice, plus you dug in our fridge deep freezer so much, plus you broke both, plus now you sneak around town to get ice cups instead of tell us who can buy our replacements. Oh, okay. Carry on, sis. The second post reads, Did you succeed disobeying your parent without punishment when you the one who snuck to Wi-Fi at McDonald's with one, but I hold that burger fund? Just asking is all. If you can decode that one, please let me know. I have no idea what she was talking about. A classmate, Riley Storen, said of Trayana, I've known her my whole high school career. She was sweet. She was genuinely sweet. Quiet. Got more quiet towards the end. She described a classmate who was obviously living her life in misery.
I mean, it was physically visible that she was being mistreated, and I just don't think enough was done to help stop it, and it was going on for so long.
Trayana was once a vibrant and bubbly girl, according to 3 of her other classmates, Taylor Hance, Alexis Stevens, and Emily Burgess, who spoke with the Watertown Daily Times. Alexis said, When she was in school, she felt safe. School was her home. After schools closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Alexis said, It just made everything so much worse. She didn't have a safe place to go anymore. The 3 young ladies described Trayana as a dedicated student and a track athlete. When she began high school 4 years ago, she earned high grades and enjoyed school. However, after her first year in high school, the spark in her eyes seemed to dim. Taylor said, She stopped doing track, her grades started slipping, and she slowly started to not come to school, to where she'd be gone for weeks. She'd come back looking horrible. I feel like the days she missed were because she physically couldn't come. By the beginning of the girls' senior year, the 3 of them were so concerned about Trayana, who had started wearing hats, leggings, socks, and long sleeves, that they reached out to adults for help. In September, Taylor went to their high school principal Corey Wood, school resource officer Robert Klimowitz, and even the Gouverneur Police Department, but she and the other 2 teens felt their concerns were always brushed off. Emily recalled that on April 30th, Trayana asked her for a ride to pick up some food from Mullen's family restaurant in Gouverneur. When Emily agreed to the ride and offered to pay for the food, Trayana declined both offers and apologized for asking for a ride in the first place. Trayana apologized a lot, they said, which made them think she saw herself as an inconvenience. Taylor said, Someone who says sorry a lot usually feels like a burden. Emily said, People assumed she was a troubled child and that she wasn't coming to school because she didn't want to, but they don't know Trey. Alexis Stevens shared a handwritten letter with the Watertown Daily Times, reading, I knew Trey was hurting. Our classes tried multiple times to get Trey peace. This was not the peace we wanted for her. Her story was not supposed to end here. On social media, Emily Burgess has shared several stories of examples of Trayana's abuse. Emily became friends with Trayana partway through high school, and the girls sat next to each other in class, but she never visited Trayana's house, and Trayana was never able to hang out after school. She started noticing Trayana appear with bruises and lacerations on her face and body. Once she came to school with chunks of hair and a tooth missing. Emily said, We went for years trying to report it, and no authority figures really stood up or really took it seriously. Nobody wanted to hurt Trey's feelings for, assuming something was happening, but that's what we did, and we kind of pushed at her and was like, Trey, is something happening at home? And she wouldn't say anything about it. And I feel like we should have pushed more, but we went to authority figures in her life. We went to the principal. We showed people the emails and messages, but I don't know what else we could have done at the time. Another young friend made a passionate post the day after Trayana's death. Okay, these police, CPS, and whoever else was involved need to step up and do their job the right way. I know for a fact Rihanna did not kill Trey. Rihanna would never do anything to hurt or kill her anyways. Trey was all Rihanna would ever talk about. They were inseparable. They went everywhere together, and whether it was hot or cold, they'd still walk to the store together to get groceries. They walked to school together, and after school, Trey would always wait for Rihanna so they could walk home together. These girls loved each other like crazy, and if Rihanna took the blame for it, she did it because she was probably scared. Scared that if she didn't take the blame, she'd get beat to death. This makes me sick that these cops and whoever else charged and blamed Rihanna for the murder when I know it was the mother. This is sick. Everyone needs to get their heads together and realize it wasn't Rihanna. It was the crackhead-looking mother. Just imagine what Rihanna is going through right now. She had just lost her favorite person and is now getting charged for it. Rihanna, I am so sorry for your loss and what you're going through. And Trey, you rest in peace, beautiful. You didn't deserve any of this, and neither does Rihanna. You're in a better place now. Hope all is well, Rihanna. Another woman posted about meeting Trayana, who was clearly abused and in need. Her post on June 27th read, I met Trey about 3 weeks ago on a Wednesday, out back of the key bank at the food box. She had no shoes on and long-sleeve shirt and pants on. She was getting food between 7:50 a.m. and 8:15 a.m. Her bag broke that she was putting food in, and she came up to my car and asked if I had a spare bag she could have. I did. I asked her if she needed meat, and she said yes, that usually the bus came with food, but they didn't come the previous day. I told her that if she came back the next day, I would have some meat for her. The next day I waited for her, and at first she didn't show. I was already at work, and there was a knock at the window, and it was Trey. She apologized for bothering me, and I let her know she was no bother. I retrieved the meat from the fridge at work, brought it out to her, along with some canned food and some other food. She handed me the canned food back and said she couldn't take it because she didn't have a can opener at home. I asked if I could give her a ride home, and she said no thank you. I insisted, and again she declined. Trey was badly scarred up on her face and hands. I couldn't see any other parts of her because it was covered. Both times she was in sock feet, and the second meeting it appeared to be what could have been bloodstains on her shirt. I didn't know her name at the time of our meetings. I didn't know where she lived. I asked around, but unfortunately the ones I asked didn't know. I was hoping I saw her again. The night after our second meeting, my husband and oldest daughter went to the store and picked up a can opener and some more food for her. I wanted to give it to her and build some trust with her, but unfortunately that didn't happen. I'm so sorry, Trey.
Alexis Stevens posted this the evening of Treyanna's death.
I don't know how to put all of this in words, but today our class of 2020 at GHS lost a beautiful girl. It breaks my heart to be writing this here. How could CPS not see how badly abused and hurt you were? I mean, scars from head to toe and no hair. You never deserved this. You were supposed to have a happy ending and a story to tell. This was never the way we wanted your story to end, but it ended the worst way possible. Your classmates will tell your story. We won't let it go unnoticed. We have fought and fought and fought for you, Trey, and we were let down each and every time. Criminal justice was never ever the same when we'd sit down and your chair was empty because you missed a day of school because of all you were going through. I will never forget the countless bags of chips and the cheesecake you'd always eat. You were always there for anyone and everyone who needed you the most. You never let anyone down, and all of us loved you, Trey. I'm so beyond sorry we failed you. We tried so hard to help. The system failed yet another child of abuse, and it's not okay. R.I.P. to a classmate, best friend, beautiful girl. Until we meet again, Trey.
Emily, Alexis, and Taylor, who was also a member of the graduating class, all described Lashanna Charlton as manipulative, telling a reporter that they believed Treyanna's mother controlled her daughter's cell phones, messaging apps, email accounts, and social media profiles. The following email was supposedly sent by 13-year-old Lashanna Charlton in December of 2019, but it has escaped absolutely no one's notice that the writing style mirrors Lashanna's and that no 13-year-old writes like this.
I need to tell all of you something about Trey. A whole day my sister wasted. She was upset about nothing and used that nothingness on my mom and myself. All day we wanted to watch a movie together and relax. That did not happen. Instead, she injured Mom's lower arm and intended to leave to see you guys. Whenever you guys see me, I don't say much. She wants me to shut up or not say anything to you guys. She turns the power circuits off in the basement, in hopes of us, my mom and I, reaching authorities in due time. When you guys say these assumptions about my mom, you're wrong for that. It makes me cry because that's my mom. She has low health, and at least you guys can go home a mother that has good health. You guys never think about what at home with her. It hurts.
Tavon Isaiah Charlton Samuels, who goes by his middle name, is Treyanna's stepbrother and the half-brother to her 13-year-old sister. He told 7 News reporter Keith Benman that he lived in the home with Lashanna Charlton, his father, Rodney A. Charlton, Trayana, and Rihanna from 2011 until 2015, when he ran away and stayed away. Isaiah described his stepmother as a woman who ran a grim household in which she doled out years of abuse, all too often crossing the line.
There's a point where discipline is no longer discipline.
He told the reporter that Lashanna would hit Trayana with a bat, which he too felt the wrath of.
I got hit in the arm with a bat too, and I thought it was odd, but again, me being young, I was like, okay, I don't think I deserve to get hit with a bat for eating a snack.
Another time he got whacked with a bat, Isaiah limped outside and got beaten again for limping. After that incident, which took place in March of 2013, police got involved, charging Lashanna with felony second-degree assault and endangering the welfare of a child. The records for that case are sealed, so its disposition is unknown. What is known is that the children were not removed from the house.
That's when she started using the blunt objects more. They took the bat away. She found something else. She would strangle us. She would beat Trayana's fingers with a belt buckle. She put knife marks on me.
She was just mad abusive for no reason. Like, I didn't understand. She would get ticked off about the littlest stuff. If we ate snacks without permission, she's mad. We couldn't, brush our teeth or shower without permission.
Isaiah explained We couldn't have friends over. We couldn't do anything. If I drank water without permission, I got beat. That's the house I lived in. I made the mistake of assuming that it ended when I left.
He decided to leave, he said, because of his stepmother's abuse.
I was 18, and she was being abusive, so I said, I'm not a kid anymore, so this isn't discipline. This is assault at this point. I ran. I decided to remove myself from the home, and I was told that because I was the cause of the family problems, that when I left, this would all stop.
He called the house for the first time in years on Sunday after receiving a call from his father, Rodney, who said that something was going on at home. Rodney, an active member of the United States military, is currently deployed in South Korea. Isaiah called the house and spoke with Rihanna, who, he said, told him her mother was not around, although he could hear the woman in the background. At that time, Isaiah said, he did not speak with Trayana, and he said it sounded as if Rihanna was reading from a script. By Monday, Trayana was dead. Isaiah is adamant in his belief that his 13-year-old half-sister did not kill Trayana, saying that his sisters always got along.
No. There's just no way.
He fondly remembered the two girls dancing together in Trayana's room. The day after reporter Keith Benman spoke with Isaiah Samuels, he caught up with Trayana's mother, Lashanna Charlton, who looked exhausted and distraught, but her words were calm and polite. Instead of staying at the home, she had been staying in a nearby motel. Mr. Benman asked Lashanna for her comment on the allegations of her stepson, as well as other allegations swirling around from community members and classmates of her daughter. Lashanna told him that Isaiah had moved out of the house 7 or 8 years ago and that she hasn't spoken with him since. Remember, Isaiah told Mr. Benman he ran away in 2015, which is only 5 years ago. Keep practicing those math problems. As for Isaiah's allegations, Lashanna said that she doesn't know anything about them and gave Mr. Benman the name and number of Melissa Swartz, who is a Syracuse criminal defense lawyer that she's retained. Why would she need a criminal defense lawyer if she hasn't been charged with anything? Mr. Benman asked District Attorney Pasqua if anything is being investigated in addition to Trayana's murder, such as child abuse. Pasqua replied, "We are investigating the entirety of the situation." Gouverneur police have denied Freedom of Information Law, FOIL, requests made by the press in regard to files and reports relevant to the case, saying that disclosure of the records would interfere with law enforcement investigations or judicial proceedings and could deprive a person of a right to a fair trial or impartial adjudication. Neighbors of the family and classmates of Trayana claim they contacted St. Lawrence County Child Protective Services multiple times over the years to report that she was being abused. Just last year, however, the county added 3 additional positions to CPS after it was determined the agency was understaffed and that caseworkers were burdened with twice the recommended number of cases. It is unknown if the positions have been filled since they were created, and it is also unknown what the outcomes of the reports to CPS were, if anything. The Gouverneur High School Class of 2020 graduation ceremony was held on Friday, June 26th. The senior class had spent the week campaigning as hard as they could to include a meaningful tribute to Trayana during the ceremony, including having her diploma accepted by her stepbrother Isaiah. Gouverneur Central School District Superintendent Lauren French and School Board President David Fenlong gave brief remarks about Trayana at the beginning of the ceremony.
We carved out some time, this time tonight, to celebrate the life of Trey.
Ms. French told the graduates,
"Celebrating graduation does not minimize how much some of you love Trey. You should not feel guilty for celebrating anything. You have spent years getting to this point."
During an earlier interview, Ms. French told a reporter,
"Always had a smile, always interacted in terms of, good morning, how are you doing today?" She was an outgoing, gregarious, kind, helpful young lady. What hurts a single member of our family hurts all of us. And compounding this is the fact that we're in graduation week and we're supposed to be at the peak moment of celebration for young adults. This is a rite of passage.
Regarding earlier reports she had received that Trayana was being abused, Ms. French said,
"I had parents that indicated concerns, and I always said the same thing to them. You are obligated to call either the police or CPS."
After they spoke about Trayana for a moment, the ceremony proceeded. In a controversial decision by the school district, Trayana's name was not listed among the graduating students on the program. A symbolic chair was not left empty for her, nor was her name called during the ceremony. Isaiah was not permitted to receive Trayana's diploma on her behalf. Later, the school explained that due to absences from school, Trayana had not met the requirements to graduate. I'm sorry, but this girl died 4 days before graduation, and the school couldn't find it in their hearts to whip up an honorary diploma for her. In my opinion, that's nothing but outright blatant disrespect. And another thing, the only reason Trayana missed as much school as she did was because she was being horrifically abused at home. The more I think about this, the angrier I get at the Gouverneur School District. School officials said they included an insert honoring Trayana in the evening's graduation program. Many recipients of the program, though, did not receive the insert, which read, Treyanna Summerville, 11/2/2001 to 6/22/2020. You taught me the courage of stars before you left, how light carries on endlessly even after death. She was always so vibrant and happy with us. Now that she's gone, I want to honestly remember that the courage she went through to shine so bright when her days were secretly dark. After receiving their diplomas, the seniors walked from the football field behind the school to the village park, where they reconvened at the site of Monday's vigil, lighting a ring of candles around the tree that has served as a makeshift memorial to Trayana before sharing pizza in the park. Classmates said that Trayana loved cheesecake and encouraged others to eat lots of plain cheesecake in her memory. One student sacrificed their diploma jacket to leave at the tree for Trayana. On Saturday, the community of Gouverneur took part in a nearly 2-mile silent march for Trayana around the village, walking wordlessly through the streets, pausing in front of the Gouverneur Police Department building, before continuing on to Trayana's memorial. The silent march concluded with a rally in the park, where Jennifer Baxtron of the Black Lives Matter North Country Organizing Collective set up a table of cheesecakes and water bottles. Jennifer was the driving force behind Saturday's demonstration, including the march and the rally. She believes Trayana's race played a part in the failure of CPS to protect the young girl for over 7 years.
For that many years, for something to go, for someone to go unhelped and get what they need, a whole family, to me, yes, it does have something to do with the color of their skin, you know. And now they have, there's a black girl dead and a black girl in jail.
The fact that the Black Lives Matter movement was in any way involved in Trayana's march ruffled more than a few feathers in the village, a fact that horrifies but certainly doesn't surprise me. Outside the police department, a single counter-demonstrator stood with a cardboard sign reading, "Sick of your ignorance." That would be hilariously hypocritical if it wasn't utterly disgusting. His neon yellow t-shirt read, "Hello, don't all lives matter, WTF?" My head exploded at that point because I'm severely allergic to stupidity, but once I pieced it back together, I managed to resume the same level of anger at the fact that people still don't understand the point of the BLM movement. Unfreaking believable. Prior to the march, one of the organizers, John Youngblood, told participants in the march not to acknowledge any dissenters protesting against or yelling at them. He said, "We are not responding. This might be the most difficult thing you've ever done. If you talk as much as I do, it's definitely the most difficult thing you've ever done. It will be challenging, but we are going to honor Trayana's life and her death in silence." Plenty of people expressed their negative opinions on Facebook about the rally being affiliated with the Black Lives Matter movement. Ms. Baxtron said, "People in the town thought because Black Lives Matter organized it that we were coming in to burn their town down and cause a ruckus. Having a quiet protest is more powerful. Let the words on the sign speak. No matter where it's at, kids are getting lost to the system, killed by the system, and not getting what they need." Amen to that. Ms. Baxtron let village police know ahead of time about the silent march and rally in the park, as she always does before scheduled events. She even invited officers and Police Chief Lorena Greenhill to participate. It did not appear that Chief Greenhill attended, and no uniformed police officers participated in the march, although officers in patrol cars did direct traffic and guide marchers along the route. A few houses and businesses along the march route, including Aubuchon Hardware, boarded up their windows in anticipation of rioting and looting. The extent of the prejudice and stupidity involved in boarding up your windows to protect yourself from a peaceful rally for a murdered teenager actually boggles my mind. The organizers of the protest said that Black Lives Matter being involved does not cancel out the importance of the march also representing child abuse awareness. Black Lives Matter is about more than just police killing black people. It's about how black people across the country are treated unfairly in all areas, from healthcare to education to law enforcement to child welfare and beyond. According to North Country Public Radio, Gouverneur's population is 87% white. In September of last year, the village stepped in its proverbial 15 minutes of infamy when a 10-year-old black girl was physically and verbally assaulted on a school bus by two white girls ages 10 and 11 who yelled racial slurs at her, punched her in the face, tore her hair out, and kicked her. That says a lot about the environment they grew up in, doesn't it? Even worse, Tiffany Spicer, the 28-year-old bus monitor, was charged with endangering the welfare of a child for not intervening other than telling the girls to take a chill pill. Gouverneur Village Mayor Ron McDougall and his wife participated in the silent march, later telling the crowd gathered in the park that he is heartbroken over Treyanna's death. He lived near the house where she died, and he said that over the years, he frequently saw her walking in the neighborhood. She even became comfortable enough to say hello to him after a while, he said. Mayor McDougall's aim, he said, was peace and justice for everyone, and let's not rest until we get it. Treyanna's father, Cedric, who traveled from Seattle to be in town, spoke before the approximately 100 attendees. With his arm around Isaiah's shoulders, Cedric passed the microphone back and forth with his daughter's stepbrother. Cedric said to the crowd,
I want to thank you guys, because you guys give me the strength to go on. I need all the support I can get.
Cedric had not lived with his daughter since she was a young child, but he told those in attendance that she had a good heart. He said, "This doesn't make any sense. I want some answers. I need answers. I don't understand. You can knock on my door and notify me that my child is gone, but you can't knock on my door and notify me that my child is being abused?" Cedric also provided a window into the culture of abuse inside the home at 135 Rowley Street, describing Treyanna's mother as controlling and manipulative. Of Lashanna, he said, "I got a one-way ticket here. I'm not leaving until she is locked up. I can't even mourn my daughter. We all know why Trey didn't leave. She didn't want to leave her sister. I can't let that lie." Isaiah spoke of Trayana, saying that she was born in Alaska, where she loved the cool weather and beautiful landscape. He said the family moved to New York State in 2011, consisting of Lashanna, Rodney, Trayana, Isaiah, and their young half-sister, Rihanna. Rodney Charlton, who was born in Jamaica, was often away from home due to his military service, either training or deployed. Both Cedric and Isaiah believe Rihanna is innocent, instead believing that Lashanna is responsible for the abuse and neglect of her children, as well as manipulation. Cedric continued, "Trey was isolated from me. She was isolated from all of our family. We tried so hard to reach out to her, but the only way we could reach out to her was through social media. But when somebody's controlling that, what can they do? Those kids are coached to say stuff to protect somebody that shouldn't be protected." The Reverend Katrina Hebb of the First Presbyterian Church in nearby Potsdam gave a prayer toward the end of the rally that asked for protection, healing, and the truth to come to light. She said, "Not for the purpose of vengeance, but for the purpose of making a better way." A scholarship has been established in the memory of Treyanna Summerville. A local business, Sunflower Cafe and Bakery, brought in approximately $600 on Friday, June 26th, by selling mini cheesecakes decorated with blue icing for child abuse awareness. They said the proceeds will be donated to the scholarship fund. Others designed #JusticeForTrey t-shirts to be sold. The proceeds from the t-shirts will be used for Treyanna's funeral and the scholarship fund. Another rally, this one called Protect the Children, Rally at DSS, organized by BLM and community foster parents, took place on Wednesday, July 1st from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. outside the Department of Social Services building in Canton, New York. The organizers wrote on Facebook, "We will be rallying outside the Department of Social Services because they failed at protecting Treyanna Summerville." Attendees wore masks and practiced social distancing. During the rally, about 50 people gathered in front of the DSS building, carrying signs with slogans such as "Treyanna's life mattered" and "Justice for Trey." It's important that we remember who Treyanna was as a person. Isaiah remembers living at the house and taking part in typical sibling banter with her. He said his stepsister loved playing with different hairstyles and listening to music, and in addition to the aforementioned cheesecake, she also loved cheese, sometimes tiptoeing to the fridge to sneak slices. Isaiah remembered Treyanna's imagination and ability to entertain herself with random objects. He said, "Her superpower was turning anything into a toy. She just had a lot of potential." Treyanna's father, Cedric, last spoke with his daughter on the phone about a week and a half before her death. He lives in Washington State, but he was hoping Treyanna would be able to visit him soon. He said his daughter was excited to graduate from high school and that she had not yet decided between going to college or entering the Air Force. Through the St. Lawrence Lewis Boards of Cooperative Educational Services, or BOCES program, Trayana studied criminal justice. She was also a gifted athlete, excelling in middle school at track and field. Trayana was a young woman with hopes, dreams, and aspirations. She was loved by everyone who came into contact with her. She deserved to live. Treyanna Summerville's name will live on. She will be remembered, and there will be justice for both Trayana and Rihanna. I will continue to cover Trayanna's story and any developments on SufferTheLittleChildrenBlog.com. That's it for this week, guys. Join me next week for another case. Please subscribe to Suffer the Little Children on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast listening app. You can also subscribe on YouTube by searching Suffer the Little Children Podcast. Visit the website at SufferTheLittleChildrenPod.com, where you can listen to episodes, leave a voicemail, and become a patron for rewards ranging from a shout-out by name on the show to exclusive show merch. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Tumblr at Suffer the Little Children Pod, and on Twitter at STLCPod. I've posted a photo album for today's case on Facebook and Instagram. Email tips, comments, questions, or case suggestions to sufferthelittlechildren.pod@gmail.com. You can also read about today's case as well as many others at sufferthelittlechildrenblog.com. This podcast was written and produced by Laine. Music and sound effects for the show were created using sounds from audiojungle.com. Always remember, hug your babies a bit closer tonight. Until next week, bye guys.